Over the past year, Dovetail Games has garnered a reputation for ignoring the TSW community and putting profit before players. The release of TSW3, for example, garnered some controversy, with some members of the community claiming it to be a cash grab. However, I think Dovetail Games could actually do something good with TSW3 and bring people back to their side. I suggest Dovetail Games review and upgrade some of their old content, bringing it up to 2022 standards. I have selected 3 routes which could be upgraded to allow them to reach their full potential. These are Great Western Express, Bakerloo Line and London Commuter. Let's start with perhaps the biggest disappointment on this list, Great Western Express. Where do I even begin? Well, for starters, the length of the route is embarrassingly short. It takes a mere 25 minutes to drive a HST, which is not a very fast accelerating train, along the full route from Reading to London Paddington. Another one, the scenery and the stations are outdated and old. West Ealing is a brilliant example of this. The scenery across the line is just completely outdated at this point. And thirdly, and perhaps the most blatant one on this list, the route feels very underwhelming and empty. There is a noticeable lack of Heathrow Express services, and also there is a lack of TfL rail services. I know this was before TfL rail took over slow services between Reading and Paddington, but there was no excuse to not add in any Heathrow Express service, and it just makes for a relatively repetitive and boring selection of services and diagrams, and honestly makes London Paddington feel unusually quiet. So what do I propose? I think there should be a Great Western Express modern upgrade pack to address some of these issues. This would include a complete overhaul of the scenery and stations to fit 2022 standards, new and accurate rolling stock, that being the Class 387, 345 and Class 80X series of trains, new operators, so Heathrow Express and the Elizabeth line, and finally an extension of the route beyond Reading to places such as Newbury, Didcot Parkway and Oxford. This would completely revitalise the route, adding several new services and reigniting interest in the route. The upgrade pack could also be compatible with the new lighting system available in TSW3. Next on the list is the Bakerloo line. Personally, I think the underground section of the route has been done to a reasonable standard of quality, especially considering the limitations imposed due to COVID-19. However, I think the above ground section of the route past Queen's Park can feel quite empty and lonely. Thus, I propose that there shall be a purchasable London Overground Class 710 DLC. This would increase the frequency of services on the section between Harrow and Wealdstone and Queen's Park, and add variety to the routes. I also think the 1972 stock could do with a sound upgrade now that coronavirus restrictions have been lifted. Finally, I think London Commuter could do with an upgrade. Now, London Commuter is my favourite DLC in the whole of TSW2. I think it's done really well. This route is already incredibly busy and fairly ambitious for Dovetail games, even without layers. However, I think it can be pushed just that little bit further. I think an extension of the route from East Croydon to London Bridge via Norwood Junction and New Cross Gates would be a welcome addition to the route. In addition, Thameslink services could be added with a Class 700 DLC. This would make stations such as Three Bridges feel full of life compared to how they are now. And this is a stretch, but I do think it's doable. London Overground services from Norwood Junction to New Cross Gates could be added with a Class 378 DLC to add even more service variety. And those were the upgrades Dovetail games could make to existing DLC. Thanks for watching, and I will see you in the next video.